Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon, everybody, and our first playthrough of Sleeping Gods. Today we are going to be going through the quick start guide that says begin here. It says it will introduce us to Sleeping Gods step by step. Read this guide immediately after opening the box. You'll be able to start playing the game. So I have read the rules already, simply because of the fact of having printed out and played Primeval Peril required you to read portions of the rule book. So I vaguely already know how to play, but we're going to start here because that's where they say to. So this is going to be a slow introduction of the rules. I would not consider this really anything spoilerish, but if you want even just the introductory scenario to be a surprise, then, turn away now. This is not the video for you. But if you would like to see how things get going here in Sleeping Gods, please feel free to join us here. So basically what it is telling us to do here is to simply get out. I basically have set up everything. This game takes up a lot of space. It really doesn't seem like it would because this atlas is not huge. It feels smaller than the near and far one. I haven't compared them directly. And this ship action board, but having to have all of the individual people out and knowing that you're going to be slotting cards underneath them, so they have to kind of be spread out in a way that you can still get cards underneath them and see those cards. Really, this ironically became a huge table hog of a game, especially for a solo game where you kind of have to be able to reach all of them at once. I guess maybe if you were even just playing two-player, you kind of put the atlas in between you guys and set up on either side, but to each his own. We'll talk about this more in my review, which will come after I've played the game some more. So anyways, all it really is asking us to do right now is get the atlas out, have some other things on standby, and we have flipped over Mac Mara Johnson here. She is not an active member of our crew yet. So, and then it gives us a little story background, which I'll read now. Captain Sophia Odessa, April 27th, 1929. After 8 years of brooding silence, I receive a telegram from my father. Taken ill. Come soon. I set out with the crew on the Manticore with a stoic resolve to make it to New York. We were 3 days out of Hong Kong when we caught in the worst storm I'd ever seen. When the sky finally cleared, we found ourselves in strange waters. The horizon was hazy, the only visible landmark a tall rock sticking out of the water nearby. Atop it sat a woman with a nest of gray hair, waving a 10-foot fishing pole through the muggy air. "Welcome to the wandering sea," she said. "You may think you are dreaming, but you are not the ones who sleep. The gods of these seas are trapped in a sleep as deep and as binding as death. Their power over this world is dormant, chained by ungrateful mortals. But they have brought you here from a distant world to help them awaken. You must do this if you wish to return home." "The gods?" I asked. "Who else?" the woman cackled. "You must seek their totems, hidden throughout the archipelago. With enough totems, you may wake the gods, and they may send you home. A reward for your service. Many have perished trying. You will also likely die, but good luck." I asked where we might find the nearest port, but the woman vanished. We turned north as night fell, too dazed from the journey and the alien world in which we now found ourselves. We did not notice the dark, narrow ship pursuing us until it was too late. Surprised and terrified screams erupted from the crew as bull-headed men poured onto our deck. The monster's eyes burned with a hellish flame, and their language was a guttural fit of barking and braying. There was little we could do. They took the ship, and we prayed for mercy with bound hands and bruised heads. Okay, ominous beginning to the story here. As you play Sleeping Gods, you will read from the storybook. The stories for this introduction scenario are included here in the quick start guide. From now on, all stories are written as though you are Captain Sophia Odessa. The active player reads the story aloud. You awaken on cold dirt. Most of the crew lie next to you, bound with the same crude rope that bites at your wrists and ankles. Your body aches and your clothes drip with dew, but there are no guards in sight, and there are sharp rocks nearby. Note, you may not use Mac in this challenge. Okay. Do we A, cut the rope bindings on the nearby rocks, cunning 5, or do we B, wriggle free of the rope bindings, strength 6? Alright, so challenges. A little note here. The active player must choose. Cut the rope bindings with a total of 5 cunning or wriggle free with a total of 5 strength. You may fully read the details about each choice before choosing, but you may make only one choice. This time, cut the rope bindings. Okay? Use crew members. This choice contains a challenge which you must complete before continuing the story. This challenge requires 5 cunning. The active player may only use skills on their own crew boards and Captain Odessa's crew board to meet the challenge. This time, place 1 fatigue token on Captain Odessa and 1 fatigue token on any one of the active player's crew boards that also has a cunning symbol. Add the total number of cunning symbols on all participating crew. You now have 2 cunning. Okay, so I've got my fatigue tokens here. We will choose Captain Sophia Odessa. The cunning is the little wolf symbol, and so we will also choose Marco Reyes. Alright, so we have a total of 2, like it says. Note the first fatigue token on a crew board goes up blank side. If you place a second fatigue token on a crew board, place it icon up, indicating that crew member is fatigued and may not participate in challenges. Draw ability card and check fate. Now draw an ability card from the ability card deck. Add the fate number on the ability card to the total cunning from your participating crew members. If the result is 5 or higher, you succeed and turn to A1. If it is below 5, you fail. Alright. So do we do it? Because then it says this time, let's say you draw a fate of 2. Because your cunning plus your fate is 4, you fail the challenge. Alright, failing challenges. Failing a challenge does not necessarily mean that your story ends. It just means you did a dismal job and must now take consequences. This challenge has a failure consequence of -3 health. The explanation being that you cut yourself on the rock you used to cut your bindings. Place 3 damage tokens on your crew boards. Crew who participated in this challenge must take the damage first. The active player decides how to split the damage. Now turn to paragraph A1 and keep reading. Okay, so we got to place some damage. 3 health. We'll put 2 on Marco and 1 on Captain Sophia Odessa. Now free, you peer outside of the wooden hut. Dark pines tower overhead. Near the edge of the brush sits a rough cage made of wooden slats. The door is fastened shut with a mechanism attached to a nearby tree. Inside, a woman lies on her back, her eyes closed. "We should get her out," says Kasumi. "We don't have time," says Raphael. "Can I have a say?" The woman in the cage opens her eyes and sits up. "Name's Mac. I'd greatly appreciate some help." You crack open the crude lock with a rock. As soon as you break her out, you hear a sudden snarl behind you. 2 bull-headed monsters emerge from the woods and charge. Combat 1 and 2. Turn to A2. Note, you may now turn Mac's crew board face up. You may use her in this combat. Alright, so there she is. The word combat followed by a list of numbers indicates that you must defeat enemies before continuing the story. It's time to fight. Alright, so combat 1 and 2. So it should be the first 2 cards, which they are. There we go. And so here are the bull-headed brutes. This is who we will be taking on. Okay, retrieve combat enemy cards 1 and 2 from the entity deck. Place them side by side. Split the combat action tokens. Which reminds me, I need to find a replacement combat action token because I was only given 3 in the game. So, what can I get my hands on here? All right, right now we're just going to use this die as my 4th one. All right. Players may attack in any order. Players attack by placing a combat action token on one of their crew boards and attacking. Alright. So it wants us to use Kasumi's crew board. Alright, so we'll start with Kasumi here. We'll place an action token. She basically has a starting accuracy of +2. She's going to be hitting for 3. And she can discard an attached cunning card to get an additional hit. She doesn't have anything attached right now, though. So, all right. So let's see here. Is it just going to give us the result? If the result is equal to or greater than the Mythen Guard's enemy defense, This time, let's say she draws a fate of 3. Add Kasumi's +2 accuracy for a result of 5. Okay, so she does. She hits the Wakizashi. She hits with the Wakizashi. Woo. Place damage. You must place all damage from a single attack adjacently. As if it were one blow, you may place it in any direction from any starting square, but not diagonally. The majority of the damage, or at least half, must hit the enemy targeted in this attack. Alright, so let's see. You must cover each health symbol on an enemy card to defeat it. Place 1 damage token on the Mithril Guard's head. This decreases his health by 1. Each square with an attack damage symbol represents damage the guard will deal to your crew when he attacks back. Place 1 damage token on the Mithril Guard's arm. This decreases his health by 1 and disables 1 attack damage symbol. Okay. Then finally it says deal splash damage to the Mithrin Brute. This is a great way to hit enemies with a higher enemy defense number. Okay. So basically what it's telling us to do is... Now this is weird because it's got these guys lined up this way. Retrieve enemy cards 1 and 2 from the enemy deck. Place them side by side as shown on the right. Because this makes a difference. I would not have been able to chain things together like I wanted to before. And this seems backwards to me. But I'm following the instructions at the moment. So it wants us to start here and here, which is a great little combo move, and then here. Alright, so we stayed adjacent, we made this little L shape, and the majority of the attack is on this first number 2 guard with the 5 accuracy or 5 defense that we needed to beat. This guy's got 6, so in able to place this one here, we've kind of gotten a bonus in not having to roll the 6. Okay. Alright. Place 1 damage token on the Mithrin Brute's arm. This disables his 1 attack damage. This also contains a synergy point. Okay, so I'm going to find me Kasumi's synergy token. Alright, so since she placed this one here with this little diamond shape on it, she gets to add her synergy token. I need to decide basically who I want to include. Who else is going to join in this attack? Alright, so it's suggesting we place it on Mac's crew board. So there we go. Mac is getting Kasumi's synergy. Now, in a typical game that we weren't being directed step by step, I could choose, and I wouldn't have to put it on somebody who's going to go next either. This is an optional use token, but it is like a little bonus. Alright, the Mithrin Guard now counterattacks. Only the targeted enemy counterattacks, not enemies who take splash damage. Okay, good. You add up the basic attack damage plus any uncovered damage symbols. So he is hitting for 3, and we covered up his bonus attack damage. So, and then we also look here at her Wakizashi has 0 block. So she can't block any of that, so she's going to be taking 3 damage here. Let me get my damage tokens out. 1, 2, and 3. Alright. Combat continues until all combat action tokens are used. Okay, so now it's suggesting we use Mac's board. Alright. Mac's crew board and target the Mithrin Brute. Okay. So we're going after, there's the guard and the brute. Alright, draw an ability card. Let's say it has a fate of 3. Well, Mac, I know you guys can't quite see this, I'll just probably explain to you, but she's got a +4 accuracy. She's got this saber, but she's obviously a very skilled fighter with the saber, so. She is starting at a +4, and it's saying, let's say it has a fate of 3. So we have a total of 7. Mac hits with the saber and deals 2 damage. Then use Kasumi's synergy token and add 1 to the damage. So I'm going to go ahead and spend this, which means I would put it back off to the side or wherever. And so we're dealing 3 damage. I guess I'm supposed to be using these as well. So I'm not supposed to be using the squares. Droplet, droplet, droplet. Okay. Let's put those back. Let's find 3 more. All right. So it is suggesting, well, why wouldn't we go right down the center there? Place it on his head, then his body, and then his legs. The head contains a synergy point, so pass max synergy to Captain Sophia Odessa. Okay, and this is essentially going to defeat the Brute, which means he's not going to get to counterattack. But let's make sure that that's what it says. We get to place our synergy token, which is a +2 accuracy. It's suggesting Captain Sophia Odessa goes next. The Mithrin Brute is defeated immediately and does not counterattack. Okay, so we can actually remove this guy now. Flip him over like this. All right, so Captain Sophia Odessa is going to go next. So we'll put our thing on her. And so she has a starting accuracy of 1. She's got the synergy token for +2. Let's say it has a fate of 1. Even with max synergy token, Odessa misses the Mithrin Guard. This means that he attacks first. Alright, he deals 3 damage. But Odessa has 1 block, so you only place 2 damage on her. Okay. I don't like that I'm just being forced to accept these fate numbers here on her crew bird. Because she missed, she only deals 1 damage. Place the damage token on the Mithrin Guard's mouth. Alright. No talking. No talking from you. And pass Captain's synergy token to another player. Okay, so there's a reason we covered the mouth versus the body, because it has the synergy token. It told us we already spent this. And to another player, use the last combat action token to attack with any crew member at this point. Even if that crew member misses, the Mithrin Guard is defeated. So, who has the best accuracy? Now, it would be stupid not to use Mac again. You can put up to 2 combat tokens on a person during combat. So someone can attack twice. You could actually have the same 2 people just go back and forth. You don't have to spread your 4 combat tokens out amongst 4 people. So why wouldn't I go here? Because she's already got a +4. Captain Sophia Odessa here is her action, her synergy token, which we gained, allows us to place diagonally. We don't need it. So I'm just going to set this off to the side. But Mac is going to draw at least a 1. That's the worst you can do. And so she's going to get to at least 5, which the Mithrin Guard has 5. So, again, in this scenario, you would draw, but you wouldn't even need to be able to place your 1 and hit him. So, yeah, victory. You defeat the Mithins. Now continue your story. All right, so let's just clean this up real quick. Get these guys out of the way. Again, very odd that we put them down from right to left according to their number. I'll have to look into that. Alright, you head down the path to a beach, and the crew mutters relieved oaths at the sight of your ship, the Manicore, anchored nearby. And when you climb aboard, you find Gloria, the ship's purser, tied up on the quarterdeck. What a lovely trip this has been, she says with a smirk. Okay, yeah. Mac thanks you for saving her, and explains that the gods brought her here as well. I'm from the States, Atlanta originally, but I've been lost for 15 years, she says. I tried to get home, gave up for a while, then tried again. I'm willing to join you, but I lost all the totems that I found, so we're starting from scratch. I can give you some ideas about where to start looking. You nod, then let's get going. It's interesting. Mac looks pretty young, just in general here. I know this is just artwork, but 15 years. I wonder if you don't age in this location. Always curious about these type of things. Alright, place the ship miniature on the atlas in the sea region containing location 2. Place the shipboard and ship action figure above the atlas. Restore all crew health. Yada yada yada. Remove all crew fatigue. Gain 3 coins, 1 grain, and starting adventure cards. Okay. So, it wants us to put our ship miniature here. So there's our Manticore. We get to heal everybody up, which is appreciated because we had no control over that tutorial. Alright, So this is our little crew member to go on our shipboard somewhere. We move back down here, and then we get, what did it say? Remove fatigue tokens. Okay. And we're going to get 3 coins. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Maybe we'll stack everybody like this here. So this is the part I need a space for resources. 1 grain. Okay, 1 grain here. And my starting equipment. So here is Gloria, who we just saw. These are going to be off camera for a little while, so I'll put them up here so you guys can see them. Here is my starting gear, and then I have 2 starting recipes. So the way these work is that not only do you have to spend a command to place onto them, which means until you clear the command off, they basically are clogging up that card. But Gloria here allows you to draw 2 ability cards. I'm guessing that's not during a fate check. I believe that just means you can draw 2 ability cards to possibly add to your people. This one, however, is redraw a fate check card. And then these are good ways for you to remove fatigue, health, low morale, things like that. So to make the soup, you have to spend 3 food resources, grain, meat, or vegetables, and a command token. You would get to remove 3 fatigue tokens and any low, and I'm assuming that's 1 low morale from any number of people. And flapjacks, you have to spend 3 grain and a command token. If you do, you remove 3 fatigue and 3 health. Again, that can all be spread out. So these basically are going to sit down here off camera, but I have access to them at any point in time. If you were playing multiplayer, you would also they would be a shared set of action cards. So one of the nice things I really like about this game is that I can start playing, and say, for example, my wife wants to play a game, a cooperative game, or is curious as she walks by this game. She may see this. I can say, sure, you want to join in the story for a night? And I just basically split up the crew in half, putting Captain Sophia Des in the middle. But all these action cards, I don't have to figure out how best to split them up. The only thing you really have to assign to a specific person is a weapon, and that kind of makes sense. So when you gain a weapon, if you want someone to be able to use it, you have to give it to them, and it's not like a shared weapon across the whole group. They're not passing around the same saber, knife, or whatever, hammer. But all of these cards, which makes sense, the recipes are shared amongst everyone on the ship. And Gloria, anyone can access Gloria, and anyone can access the gear. So everything is shared, making it very easy to bring people, other human players, in and out of the game as you wish. All right. So let's continue reading here. Oh, gain quests 1 and 2. That's the next thing. So we're going to go way up here to our fun little magic box. Ooh, it's harder to open than I thought. All right. And we will gain quests 1 and 2. Which is good, because this will give us something to do. So here's quest 1 and quest 2. All right. At the end of a story and at certain points along the way, you receive rewards and consequences. These are listed in italics and include resources, coins, status effects, damage, fatigue, adventure cards, quests, and more. Follow all instructions before moving on. Return to the ship means the exploration is over. Pass the captain token to the next player in clockwise order. All right. So, place the Manticore ship miniature on the atlas in the ocean near location 2. Place the shipboard above the atlas. Place the correct side face up. We did all that. Place the ship action figure on it. Then remove all damage, fatigue, and synergy tokens from your crew. Okay, this is basically repeating everything. Keeping the adventure card deck in order. Find the starting adventure cards. We did that. Keep the quest cards in order. Find quests 1 and 2. We did that. Note, read quest cards aloud whenever you gain them. Okay, so let's do that. So let's look at quest 1 here. Says, raids on Last Hope. Mac told us a rumor about rat creatures attacking a fishing village northeast of Zakura trading post. The village may not survive the attacks much longer and needs urgent help. Okay, so we can find the trading post near Zakura. Okay, look at that right there. And Mac is on her way to search the cottage of an old treasure hunter named Anne. Perhaps something there will help us get home. The cottage is near a bridge north of the Zakura trading post. Okay, so I'm assuming this is the cottage. So more than likely, to handle these quests, we need to travel here to 130 and 34. I'm guessing those will trigger the story points. So those are also both very easy, a single travel away. So these basically just set aside and we keep them handy until it comes time to, I guess it'll tell us in the storybook to discard like raid or cottage. I don't know if these are keywords maybe that we're supposed to keep. So, all right. Let's continue with reading through here. Event cards setup. Separate the event cards by type. Shuffle the piles separately. So we're going to seed the deck with 6 deadly, then 6 perilous, and 6 mild. Then we're going to shuffle the market deck, place it nearby, and shuffle the search tokens and place them in a stack face down near the shipboard. Okay? Alright. So here is our event stack. These are being placed on the shipboard just off camera. Here is our market deck, also shuffled and will be placed just off camera here. Again, I'm just like running out of room to put all this stuff. Okay. The search tokens, I guess I've just got up here in a little bucket, but maybe I should shuffle them up and put them in a little stack in front of the bucket. In front of my little bit bin. Alright. Alright, so here these are. Here's a stack of these. These are just up north of the map there. Retrieve a new journey log for your campaign. Choose to play in normal or brutal mode. We're definitely going to be playing in normal. And check the appropriate box. Normal mode allows you to restart more quickly. Give each player 1 command token and 1 ability card. You have completed the introductory scenario. You may now start your campaign. If you have not read the rulebook, continue to the walkthrough in this quick start guide to finish the tutorial. Alright, so basically the walkthrough is going to continue telling us what steps to take. So I have read through the rulebook, so I will just go over those steps here as we conclude the video. So here's the journey log if you did not see my unboxing video. Essentially, this gives you ways to write down where you are and certain statistics every time you save. So you can basically save the game X number of times. I guess you could go to a new sheet and pick up right where you are. You're going to track experience here. And this is going to track how often you go through the event deck. Essentially, you get to go through the event deck 3 times. Right now, there's 18 cards in the event deck. But it may be that you read a specific entry in the journal, so you may add more. So you're looking at least, what is that, 36, 40, 54 rounds in a standard game to try and accomplish your tasks, but maybe more. But then on the back, this is one of the really nice things, is that there is this map. And so we're essentially starting right here in the middle. And you are given this to mark up at your leisure. So if you've got keywords, for example, Zakura, you could circle this and write keywords raid and what was the other one? Cottage. Here at 130 and 34, because say I get that keyword and I'm way over here, this is basically just my record of where I need to be traveling around on my map here. So we'll keep this going. All the rest of the tutorial is telling us, after we will gain 1 command and gain 1 ability card. So this is normally, if I would have drawn it for fate, we would have been looking for this number here. But what this in my hand is giving me the option to do is attach this to a crew member. To do so, I would have to spend 2 command. Right now I only have 1. Not only is it going to give that crew member a new, or not a new, but an additional symbol. So if I say add it to Gregory Little here, or the shaman here, he now has 2 savvy symbols. Also, this text at the bottom, each time a fatigue is removed from this crew member, restore 1 health to another crew member. So we gain that bonus as well. So these cards are good to have. There are times where you can discard them to mitigate things like fate checks and skill checks and things like that. But also, in understanding how the system works, there are numbers on these fate cards from 1 to 6. And a majority of the numbers are 2, 3, 4, and 5. So knowing that I could help improve the stack of fate cards that will be reshuffled throughout the game, if by slotting fate cards with number 1 fate symbols on them, I'm removing those from the deck, making it less likely to pull a 1, say, in the future, or 2, 3, or 4. So if I see a number with a 6, I'm more likely to want to discard it back into the ability draw deck pile for later use. Okay, so how do we play the game? Essentially, each round is going to consist of 3 steps, and those are highlighted on our ship action board here. So let me move this up so everybody can get a good look at it. So first of all, we're going to take our little worker meeple here, and we're going to move him around the ship board. Each of these locations has, and you can see they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We cannot visit the hull. But each of the rest of these locations has some icons of things we can do. Most of them are centered around a gaining command, which is this number in the blue. The slash means that since I'm playing solo, I have to follow the left number. So I would gain 2 command, going here and here, 3 here. The next symbol with the blue with the arrow next to it is how many command I can remove off of cards that are already scattered around. Command is a finite number in this game. I believe there's 14 total command tokens that I can have and be using at any given time. When I place a command on someone, I would normally need 2, but say I place 2 command on Gregory Little here to gain the extra accuracy. He now cannot do his other ability, which is to remove, frightened or poisoned, or weakened or poisoned. I've kind of locked him up from doing anything else, but I also don't have this command token to spend anywhere else until I remove it from his player board. When I do, it goes back to the supply, and I have to gain it, through a ship action. So these 2 spots are very important. The bridge allows me to clean off every card and refill my supply. This one allows me to just remove 2, but I'm gaining more in return. And this last number with most of them are 1s. Yeah, all of them are 1s. Allows me to draw an ability card similar to like I did here, just to have it to my hand. My hand limit is 3 for ability cards, so if I draw my 4th, I have to choose 1 to discard. So there are some other things that can be done here, like going to the sick bay. I can automatically just heal 1 health off of somebody. The galley, I can discard a card, so basically an ability card in my hand to remove a fatigue token for someone, and the deck allows me to search, and that's these search tokens up here. Essentially, these search tokens are going to be flipped over, and I can continue plowing through them as often, and I can stop whenever I want. Now, I don't get to gain all this stuff, but this is actually a really good pull for me right off the bat, because any ship damage that I flip over, I have to take onto the ship. But once I have stopped, I then get to choose which of these things I get to search for. and then these actually go in a little discard pile, and don't go back into the pile until I've searched everything and then shuffle them all back together again. So an interesting little economic of search, because it is kind of push your luck element. How far do you want to go? How much ship damage are you willing to take to find exactly what you want? And there's only but 10 or so tokens there. So these are all the ship actions that you can take. An important thing to note is that, say I'm in the sick bay on turn 1, I cannot just stay in the sick bay eternally. I have to move to a different location between each turn. So I cannot just stay in one location from one turn to the next. I have to go somewhere else. Then I can return back on the following turn. If your ship receives damage, it's going to be placed in these tokens. That was the square tokens I was accidentally using earlier. Usually it just says your ship takes damage. You flip over an ability card, and remember that the fate is only going to go 1 through 6, and your ship only has 6 locations. So whatever number is listed on the fate card is where your damage goes. So, and to remove that damage, you have to use a crew ability like Raphael here. No, I thought Raphael had to fix the ship one. I don't know. Oh, here. Audrey Williams from Liverpool has repair 1, so she has to spend 2 command to repair a part of the ship. That just removes a ship token. Either way, after you take your ship action, your next step is to draw an event card. This is basically going to give you some text, possibly a skill challenge, positive or negative things. It may vary. Obviously, the easier events are at the top, and we seeded the harder events at the bottom. But so, number 1, ship action. Number 2, event. You draw an event card, you deal with it, and then we move on. Then we get to choose any 2 actions that we want to take. And they can be the same action. So we can travel. This requires a skill check, and you get to move your ship around the map. Explore means we look at the number of the area we're at. So if we're in this area, I can either explore 34 or 186 or 18. And we read from the storybook. We do whatever it says. We resolve the story, essentially. You can also visit the market, which, for example, here in Zakura is a market that we can visit. Basically, we're going to get to spend coins. We're going to draw from that market deck and get to choose from those cards, but we will have to buy them. And then we can visit Port. Port is very important because it gives you several options to do. You can do things like spend 4 coins to visit the inn. That's going to remove fatigue and health from each crew member. You can repair your ship here. You can heal. You can spend XP. XP is going to gain you... Where did I do with those cards? Very specific cards here for each crew member, and basically you just get to look at all of these and decide, all right, this would cost you 6 XP, this would go to Gregory, and this is not something that can be discarded, it can't be lost, and it does not take up one of your 2 slots that you have for ability cards. This is like a permanent upgrade to your character. It just is in the shape of an ability card, but this gives you kind of character specific benefits, and again, you're spending XP in that instance. So the port is very important because you can do all of these actions if you want when you're at port. So, but that's basically it. Once you have taken your 2 actions, whatever 2 actions those may be, you if you were playing multiplayer, you would pass the first player token on, and you would again take a ship action, do an event, take 2 actions. And that's how to play. The rest of this game is driven by the storybook and those challenges, skill checks, and combats. That's kind of the main gameplay elements here, is reading through the storybook, doing your skill checks, and participating in combat. It is meant to be a narrative-driven story with this map atlas thing here that essentially creates, if you were to rip out all these pages, they're double-sided though, please don't do that. You would create what's on the back of the journal log. You would create this giant map here, kind of like 7th Continent. But instead of it being just cards you lay down, he's created this atlas that you can flip through. So in order to pass to a different portion of the sea, you would simply travel off the page, and here you would travel to page 13, here you would travel to page 8, and here you would travel to page 16. So eventually you're going to come to edges of the world where there's not going to be a way you can sail off. I don't know what those edges look like because everything on these 2 pages has a direction to go. The only other thing that I can think of to cover right now is that if you are traveling along in the Manticore and you want to pass into or through one of these areas with a skill check kind of pictured on it, you have to complete that skill check as you enter this space. You either pass and can continue moving, or you take the penalty, which in this case would be 1 ship damage. So that's pretty much it. And again, this was the introductory scenario. This was basically like a how to play video or a how to play walkthrough scenario. So what we're going to do next is I will film my first couple rounds and just see how it goes for anybody that's interested in seeing how true gameplay works with the storybook element, with the ship actions, the events, things like that. That definitely would be considered a spoiler warning, so it's going to go in an entirely separate video. But if it is something you're interested in seeing, please join me for that. That's what will be coming up next. Then after enough time with the game, I will be releasing my full and honest review of Sleeping Gods. So keep an eye out for that. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And again, if you'd like to take part in the upcoming Sleeping Gods content, there will be more. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.